There are big fancy college words called oligarchy.
About what it means to have this DOGE.
Start of an oligarchy.
What we are looking at here is oligarchy.
Oh boy, get ready for this one, because oligarchy, 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 say that 3 times fast. That is now the new narrative coming out of CNN and other left-leaning news outlets and political figures, trying to put all of the blame on Elon Musk and Donald Trump, calling them an oligarchy. Now, before we get into these meltdowns and how insane this is all getting, again, this is all in the context of the spending bill not going in the way or favor of Democrats. And I just wanted to have the definition on screen because you're going to see the hypocrisy. A small group of people having control of a country, organization, or institution. I know everybody is hitting themselves in the face and saying, is that not what Democrats have been running on? Kamala Harris having all of these billionaires and raising $1 billion for her campaign compared to Donald Trump's like $400 million. So I'm going to let Scott Jennings from CNN totally obliterate this idea of an oligarchy, and he calls out Kamala Harris has been doing this and Joe Biden for the last 4 years.
There are big fancy college words called oligarchy, plutocracy, that folks tonight might want to look up. It's called rule by rich folks. And that's what we're dealing with. A bunch of rich folks, 2 rich people threw a fit online and threw the government upside down. That is not good for America. Now, did the bill go from big to little? What happened is that the bipartisan deal that got struck by elected officials of our country were overthrown by 2 billionaires throwing a fit, and it's not even January.
Okay, super fast, because you're going to see Scott Jennings of CNN absolutely destroy this narrative. But I want to point out, this is an absolute insult to viewers watching this show. He's saying, go look up what happened on X. 2 billionaires posted about this and they got their way. No, what happened was Elon Musk, who now has the Department of Government Efficiency, we'll get to that later in this video because CNN also gets mad about that. He pointed out, look what is happening with the government. They are willing to shut down over issues that has nothing to do with government efficiency or whether or not a government could operate. It was like random research projects, opening up a football stadium in Washington, things like that. And it wasn't only 2 people getting mad, it was millions of voters getting really mad and calling their elected officials. Now let's get to Scott Jennings absolutely tearing this guy up.
Scott, what's your take on that?
Well, if Van is concerned about unelected officials running the government, I would invite him to review the last 4 years of the Biden administration and maybe pick up the Wall Street Journal this week. We've apparently had a president that's so diminished that his staff has been hiding it from the American people and making key decisions on behalf of our government, despite never having been elected to anything at all. So if you're concerned about it tonight, maybe take a look over the last 4 years. Look, I think ultimately all's well that ends well. The government did not shut down. We're not in any kind of crisis over the holidays here. And when the Republicans get sworn in January and Trump comes to the office on January the 20th, they're going to have to come together as a team and decide, are we going to work together or not? That's ultimately how you get things done in a legislative body. This is where the Democrats had some things right. Jeffries had them unified.
Once again, another mic drop moment from Scott Jennings. Again, he points out the fact that, look, Jeff Bezos has been unifying the Democratic Party for a while now, but also you can even point to MSNBC, CNN. You have these billionaire owners who are funding these organizations, essentially pushing a narrative. There are so many clips out there where, again, even in my videos, they are saying the exact same thing, using the exact same terminology like oligarchy, puppet, unelected officials. These are like these buzzwords that the common man should understand, and it should ruffle their feathers and get them really upset and unified. Now, speaking of very upset, we are now going to get to Elizabeth Warren, a elected official who really cannot stand Elon Musk or Donald Trump because they go after her every single day on X. But this is another ridiculous meltdown on CNN about the exact same topic.
But we actually are now getting our first taste, this is it, live and in living color, about what it means to have this DOGE right out here and what that's going to mean. And that's where Elon Musk's fingerprints are all over this.
Okay, real quick, because this is very important, I need to point this out for you. Every single time an elected official points out the Department of Government Efficiency or gets mad at Elon Musk, whether a conservative or Democrat, they need to realize that is when Americans are waving the red flags. If you are getting upset at a third party pointing out the fact that you are not being efficient, and not only that, DOGE is doing this for free, that is where people like Elizabeth Warren don't get it. The more and more she complains on CNN, the more she's going to be looked at from the outside in, because now we have what's called X, we have community notes, we have open AI. Now civilians have the power to actually make change, like we saw with the government spending bill.
Because, for example, what this bill says is, oh, let's get rid of funding for research on pediatric cancer. Let's get rid of funding for research on early detection of cervical cancer and breast cancer. Let's get rid of funding for research on children with Down syndrome and on sickle cell anemia. Let's get rid of those things so that we can make way for tax cuts for billionaires. That is Elon Musk's notion of efficiency.
It is.
Okay, and this is the perfect segue into our next section of the video, where Republicans, conservatives, Elon Musk, they want to get rid of all of this very, very important research. Look, as a conservative myself, again, Elizabeth Warren, you are missing the point. We want this. This is awesome spending. I want my taxpayer money to go to finding out research or cures for things like this. However, why is my tax money going to a bill that will also fund a Washington football stadium? Why are those two even remotely close? And why would any of that cause the government to shut down? That is why Democrats are not realizing you need to just keep your mouth shut. We know what's going on. We are not CNN viewers or MSNBC viewers where you can insult us. We know what's happening. We now have the Department of Government Efficiency where they open up the curtain, unveil the curtain. We are tired of it.
Republicans are marching America to a painful government shutdown that will crash the economy and hurt working class Americans because they would rather enact massive tax cuts for their billionaire donors than fund cancer research for children.
I'm telling you, as I do these videos every single day where CNN or MSNBC, they keep showing elected officials who they promote, left-leaning officials, they keep saying, do your research, look into it. Republicans are trying to stop cancer research. Nobody has said that. Nobody wants that to stop. We want things to stop that have nothing to do on whether or not a government should shut down. And I'm telling you right now, as more and more people do research, I mean, you're seeing it across the board, from a Joe Rogan to a Cenk Uygur to a bunch of other people. They're starting to get on board with conservatives and more right-leaning ideas because they are sick and tired of the fear-mongering and the insults to the audience, the American people.
Thank God Elon Musk bought Twitter, because that's the only way we would even know what's in this bill. Otherwise, the conspiracy between the government and Twitter would have continued, and this would have all been covered up. But the fact is that Elon Musk exposing this meant that every one of our offices was inundated with calls from our constituents.
This is an extremely important point people don't realize. Because this was posted by Elon Musk, and yes, he owns the organization of X, so I'm going to make an assumption that anything he posts most likely gets blasted out everywhere, just because the way that the algorithm works. But also, a lot of people follow Elon. Many Americans called their elected officials. This shouldn't be looked down upon. Elected officials should love the fact that hundreds of people, which is not even a lot, maybe even thousands, have called their office to ask them what's going on. We need this in America because this could be great. We can now get some actual changes going on, and we could have some legit representation, whatever state you're in. And don't get me wrong, I actually understand. If you are more left-leaning, if you are liberal, if you are a Democrat, I can see how this is very upsetting because, look, Elon is more conservative, Trump obviously conservative. This is more in the favor of a Republican, but in the future, maybe DOGE could have more left-leaning figures in it and people can now work together and we can all finally be on the same team.
The American public wanted to see this change. Donald Trump was speaking on behalf of the American public. Again, he's just the president-elect. The current president is AWOL, but Donald Trump stepped up and said, look, this is what needs to happen. And I think all of my constituents were there, or the calls at least that I got in my office. Elon Musk's transparency helped make that happen.
Well, I think as a senator voting, I presume that you do your best to read the bills that you're voting on. I understand it was quite large at the beginning, but to say that it was only Elon Musk that made people aware of what was in it, that can't be true.
No, I'm not saying it was only Elon Musk. We're all struggling to read it, to digest an over 1,500-page bill that we were literally given just hours to comb through.
And if you are still watching this, the final point, CNN once again realizing, look, it wasn't only Elon Musk. We agree with you. It was Elon Musk posting it out to everybody, and it was the American people, and even elected officials saying, how can we read a 1,500-page bill and actually know what's going on? We have to trust what Democrats are doing, or vice versa. So anyway, hope you guys enjoyed the video. This is now the new narrative, the oligarchy, oligarchy, oligarchy. Rich people stink, and Democrats have never done this ever.